Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 4, the appearance of Sai Samartha. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, followed by chapter number 4 of the Sai Satcharithra, and then we'll conclude chapter number 4 with the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम श्री साई नाथाय नमः। 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 Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 4, the appearance of Sai Samartha. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra, and I bow down to Shri Satguru Sainath. In the previous two chapters, the invocation was accomplished. Then the purpose of writing this book was told, and then the qualifications of the author to write, introductory reasons, and framing of the definitions were discussed in detail. Now, for what reasons do saints take birth on earth, and the sinfulness of human beings which leads to their appearance on the earth? Oh, you are honored listeners. I am a particle of dust at your feet. Pay attention. Is the favor I ask you, which I am not ashamed to do, as it is the biography of a saint is pleasing. Moreover, Sai's story is like a nectar. When the numerous devotees of Sai partake it, there is full of happiness. Brahmins were neglecting the duties of caste and birth. The low castes are trying to pass themselves off as Brahmins. The religious teachers are disrespected and the people try to bully others. Nobody cares for the dictates of religion. In every house, all are self styled scholars. One tries to empower the other, and nobody listens to anybody. Drinks and eatables, which are forbidden, are savored. Right behavior and right thinking, all these are completely disregarded, and Brahmins actually eat meat and drink liquor openly. Under the grab of religion, they indulge in atrocities and spread hatred among the sects, because of which people are harassed. When the Brahmins are reluctant towards daily bath and offering of prayers, when the Orthodox are reluctant to practice the religious rites, and the yogis are reluctant to do recitation and prayers with deep concentration, then the time is ripe for the saints to take birth. When people believe that happiness consists only in society, wealth, status, progeny, and family, and turn away from spiritual values, then the saints manifest themselves. They lose the highest good because of the decline of dharma. In order to bring about a revival of dharma, the saints appear. When people, to the detriment of their health, longevity, and prosperity, go astray in pursuing their sexual needs and completely miss the chance of their upliftment at such times. Saints take birth to protect the religion of Vedic Hinduism, to annihilate the sinfulness and to protect the downtrodden, poor, and weak. The saints incarnate on this earth. The saints believe themselves are liberated souls and are always ready for the betterment of the weak. They take birth only for the sake of others and have no self interest. They build the foundation in the form of renunciation around the sanctorum of active worldly life, build the temple of ultimate good, and easily elevate the devotees by working for religion and for the awakening of religion. They achieve their mission in life, and having fulfilled their goal, they give up their mortal coil. The individual soul, it is itself the supreme spirit which gives joy to the whole world, and the supreme spirit is the Guru himself, Shankara, the giver of bliss. He is the transcendent abode of love. He is eternal, constant, and unchangeable. He is beyond space, time, and matter. He is beyond definition, indefinable. The four modes of speech, viz. Para, that which only the yogis practice, and is symbolized by the mystic syllable Om. Pashyanti, speech in the second stage, which has its seat in the mind. Madhyama, speech in the third stage, which has its seat in the trachea. Vaikhari, articulate utterance, have failed to describe him, and even the wisdom and ingenuity of the Vedas have accepted defeat and taken recourse to the negative description. Neti, neti, not this, not this. The six Shastras and their six philosophies have avoided describing him. The Puranas and Kirtans have also become wary. Praying with the heart, body, and mind is the only means to understand him. Such is the life story of the saint Sai, whose deeds are extremely mysterious. By listening to the pure story, why would the ears not be purified? He is the moving force behind all the sense organs. He gives inspiration to write the book, and because of him, the writing of the biography is orderly and effortless. He resides in everybody's heart. He is the dweller within and without. He is the all pervading. Why should I then unnecessarily worry? What? When I recall his virtues one by one, my mind comes to a standstill. How will my words be able to describe him? It is best to keep silent with respect to him. The nose should inhale the fragrance of the flower. The skin should know the difference between hot and cold by the touch. The eyes should enjoy the beauty. Thus, the senses make themselves happy. The tongue knows the sweetness of sugar but cannot express it. Similarly, I am unable to describe the virtues of Sai. When the Sadguru determines, he himself will give the inspiration. He puts into words that which is undescribable through his chosen men. My saying that it is not just a formality. These words are not just superficial. These words are genuinely sincere, and I pray for your respectful attention. Like Gangapur, Narsimhavadi, Audumbar and Bhilawadi. So also at the banks of the Godavari, the holy place of Shirdi is situated. The holy banks of Godavari, the holy waters of the Godavari, the cool breezes of the Godavari, these all destroy darkness of the material world. The sanctity of the river Godavari is renowned all over the world. Hers has been the land of saints, one nobler than the other. There are many holy places on the banks of Gomti whose waters wash away sins. Drinking the water and bathing in it cures the illness of worldly existence. This is described in the Puranas that Godavari of Ahmednagar district of Kopargaon Taluka shows the way to Shirdi, which is near to Kopargaon. As You cross over the opposite bank of the Godavari at a distance of about 6 miles. As the Tonga enters Nimgao, Shirdi is immediately within sight. Nivriti, Dhyana Dio, Muktabai, Namadio, Janabai, Gora Kumbhar, Gorai Tukaram, Narahari, Narsibhai Mehta, Sajan Kasai, the Satwa Mali. These have been the saints of yore. At present, there are a number of them who regard the whole world as one family and are there to support of the sorrowing and the miserable. Ramdas, the foremost of saints, left the banks of Godavari and appeared on the banks of Krishna for the deliverance to the world. So also Sai, the great Yogeshwar, by the great good fortune of Shirdi, for the sake of deliverance of the world, appeared at the banks of Godavari. Paris turns iron into gold. Similar are the saints to the Paris. The deeds of the saints are out of the ordinary. They give their own image to the devotees, transcending all distinctions and seeing the Brahman manifested in the whole universe. They only see the glory of the Brahman reflected uniformly in themselves and in the world around. In this way, when there is a realization that the whole universe is one's own self, how can the happiness be described? It will lead to the experience of the highest good. When one attains such oneness, why should there be any enmity or fear of anybody? You need to resort to no one else, like Damaji at Mangalavadi, Ramdas at Sajjangad, Narasimha Saraswati at Wadi. So Sainath was at Shirdi, difficult and impassable as the world existence is. He had triumphed over it. Peace was his ornament, and he was the treasure house of knowledge. He was the haven of the Vaishnavites, the most benevolent amongst the benevolent in bestowing spiritual knowledge. He was the avatar of Karna. Sai is the quintessence of truth without any attachment to the perishable. Absorbed in his own self, he concentrates on the single goal of the Supreme. Indescribable indeed was the state of his being, unaffected by the worldly abundance or the absence thereof, unmoved by joys and sorrows of the world. What is to happen after death? His heart was pure as mirror, and his speech showered nectar. The king, the pauper, the poor, and the meek were all equal in his eyes. He was beyond honor or insults. He saw God in every being. He behaved ordinary with all people, witnessed the dance and frolic of the Muralis, listened to the songs and ghazals, swaying to them with great relish, but his inner state of samadhi was absolutely undisturbed. The name of Allah was imprinted on his heart. He slept when the world was awake. He was awake when the world slept. His nature was peaceful, like a peaceful deep ocean. It is difficult to determine through which ashrama or the stage of life he was passing or the exact state of his activity. Very often he did not even move from his seat, but he knew everything that was happening. Outwardly, there was a darbar like grandeur. He talked of 1,001 innumerable things. This was a permanent show arranged by him, but inwardly he was committed to silence. He used to stand leaning against the wall, take the rounds in the mornings and afternoons, going to Lendi or the Chowdi, but undisturbed was his state of self-realization. I do not know in which birth, at what time, on what occasion, in what way I performed penance, as the fruit of which Sai took me under his wings. Should I call this the fruit of my penance? But no, I am born sinful. It is Sai himself who is kind and loving, and definitely his ways. Although born a Siddha, his ways were those of a sadhaka. He had no pride and was full of humility, and he pleased everyone, just as Eknath and Dhyaneshwar. brought glory to Paitan and Alandi. So also Sai made Shirdi a celebrated place of exhilaration. Blessed are the blades of grass and stones in Shirdi, which without any effort were able to kiss Baba's feet every day and were able to bear the dust of his feet on their heads. For us, Shirdi is Pandharpur. Shirdi is our Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, Gaya, Kasi, Vishweshwar. Name of the temple, Shirdi is our Rameshwar. Shirdi is our Badri Kedar. Shirdi is Nasik Trambakeshwar. Shirdi is Ujjain Mahakaleshwar. Shirdi is Mahabaleshwar Gokarn. The very association with Sai in Shirdi is like the study of Nigamas, that is the Vedic scriptures, and Agamas, post Vedic scriptures of major sects like Shaiva, Shakta, and Vaishnavas, and the healing touch in the afflictions of life. He is the easy way to the supreme goal. Samartha Sai's darshan itself is a means of union with the divine, and by conversing with him, our sins are washed away. Pressing his feet is like bathing at the confluence of the three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, and partaking of water, washing off his feet uproots all desires. His command is like a Vedic sermon for us, purifying and sacred in every sense are his udi, sacred ash from the duni, and his prasad, sacramental food. Sai is to us the supreme Brahman, the highest spiritual bliss. Sai is our Shri Krishna, Shri Rama, and Sai is our rest and refuge. Sai is beyond the twofold nature of the world, never sad or happy, always engrossed in his own self and permanently in the Brahman. Shirdi is the center, but Baba's realm is far and wide. It extends up to Punjab, Calcutta, North India, Gujarat, Deccan, and Karnataka. The Samadhi of Sai at Shirdi is a gathering place for all saints. Every step on the way is to it serves one link of a chain of worldly existence. A mere darshan of his Samadhi is the fulfillment of one's life. How can I describe then the good fortune of those who have spent their lives in his service? Over the masjid and the Wada, rows of beautiful flags flutter high in the sky, which seem to beckon the devotees. Baba is a renowned saint whose fame had spread far and wide. Some vote to him in faith for the fulfillment of their wishes, while some attain inward peace by the mere darshan of him. Whatever may be the secret wish of anyone, whether pure or unscrupulous, their mind is at peace at the very sight of him. People are therefore surprised in their heart of hearts. The same marvelous vision which was once at the sight of Vittal and Rakmai at Pandharpur is experienced in Shirdi by Baba's darshan. If anyone feels that this is an exaggeration, then listen to the words of Gauli Bua, who was a firm devotee of Vittal to dispel all doubts. He is a Varkari, regular visitor of Pandharpur, as he visited Pandharpur every year. He also visited Shirdi once a year. He loved Baba very much. Bua was an accomplished by an ass and a companion who was also his disciple. He continuously chanted Ramakrishna Hare. He was 95 years old. He spent 4 months of monsoon on the banks of Godavari and stayed 8 months at Pandharpur. He visited Shirdi every year, gazing at Baba in all humility, he would say, "This is Pandarinath incarnate, protector of the destitute and the merciful." Can anyone become a saint by wearing dhotis with silk borders? To become a saint, what is required is hard penance, till the bones wear out thin and the blood becomes water. Can one attain godhood without efforts? This is Pandhariyao incarnate. The world is ignorant. Believing this, firmly perceive the divinity behind it. These are the words of great devotees who loved Pandharinath. Compared to him, what experience can a humble man like me boast of? Let the listener's own experiences be the best guide. Baba loved the Namasmara. He himself constantly repeated the words Allah Malik. He would arrange for 7 days ceaseless chanting of the Nama in his presence day and night. On one occasion, Baba commanded Das Ganu to conduct such a 7 day chanting. When Das Ganu sought an assurance of Baba, then Vittal should appear in person. Baba, laying his hand on his heart, assured him with confidence and told him fiercely, yes, of course, Vittal in person will appear. The devotee should be full of faith. Danakapuri of Dakurnath or Pandhari of Vittal or Dwarka Nagari of Ranchod are here only, in search of which you need not go long distance. Is Vittal going to come from anywhere else, leaving his private quarters? He would appear here, springing up out of intense devotion of a devotee. By serving his parents, Pundalik captivated the god of gods. Seeing Pundalik's devotion, the Lord stood on the brick and waited. After the seventh day of chanting, Baba's words came true, and it is said that Das Ganu had a darshan of Lord Vittal in Shirdi. Thus, Baba's prediction was experienced and verified. Once, when Kaka Sahib Dikshit was in meditation after his routine morning bath, he got a darshan of Vittal. Later on, when he went for Baba's darshan, Baba surprised him by asking, had not Vittal Patil come? Did you meet him? That Vittal was very elusive. Hold to him firmly, otherwise he will slip away if your attention wavers even for a moment. This episode took place in the morning, again in the afternoon. See further evidence of the joyous appearance of Vittal. A hawker from another person outside Shirdi came to the village with the intention of selling 20 to 25 beautiful pictures of Vittal. It was an exact replica of the image which was seen in the morning meditation. Dikshit was surprised and he recalled Baba's words. Dikshit very lovingly purchased one of the pictures by paying the price to the seller and installed it with devotion for daily worship. There is another beautiful episode of the worship of Vitthal being equivalent to offering respect to Sai. Listen to it with joy and happiness. Bhagwatan Rao, Shritsagar's father, once a leading devotee of Vittal, went to Pandharpur. There was an image of Vittal in the home, but when the father passed away, the performance of puja, offering of the Naivedya, etc., was stopped. Even the rituals at the time of the death anniversary was discontinued. Bhagwant Rao also gave up the annual pilgrimage to Pandharpur. But when he went to Shirdi, Baba recalled his father and he said, he was my friend. He is my beloved friend's son. That is why I have dragged him here. He does not offer Naivedya. He starves me also. He keeps victuals also hungry. Therefore, I brought him to Shirdi. Now I'll remind him and make him do puja. Once, knowing that it was Parva, holy time, Das Ganu wished to bathe at Prayag Tirth and came to Baba to take permission. Baba in return said, you need not go that far for it. This itself is our Prayag bank. Have strong faith in your heart. Oh, how can I praise Baba's greatness? As Das Ganu put his head at Baba's feet, water trickled out of both his toes as if it was the water of Ganga Jamuna and Yamuna oozing out. Having witnessed this miracle, Dasgan was overcome with emotion. What of great favor was bestowed on him by Baba. Tears sprang from his eyes. His speech was inspired. Love brimmed up in his heart. He felt satisfied only after describing Baba's immeasurable greatness and wonderful deeds to gratify eagerness of the listeners. Leaving the sacred feet, it is not necessary to go on a pilgrimage to Ganga and Godavari. Listen to the sweet life and praises of Saint Sai with devotion. Just as by good fortune, Namdev, just as Just as by good fortune, Namdev was found by Gonai in Brimharti river and Kabir in a mother of pearl shell by Tamal in Bhagirathi river. In the same manner, Sri Sainath appeared for the sake of his devotees in the village of Shirdi under a neem tree at the young age of 16. When he appeared at that time itself, he was a realized person. Even in dreams, he had no passions. He had kicked away and discarded worldly passions and mukti was, as it were, decorating his feet like an anklet. Nobody knew where or which pious family or the parents of Baba were born. No one knew of his antecedents, and people were at their wits' end trying to find out who his parents were, leaving behind mother, father, relatives, kin, kith, and caste. In the fact, all worldly ties, he appeared in Shirdi for the Guru people. One old woman of Shirdi, the name of Nana Chokdar, had been telling the mysterious and wondrous life of Baba. So she says, in the beginning, this young lad, fair and handsome and charming, was first visible under the neem tree, sitting quiet and cross legged. Seeing the form of the beautiful child, people were extremely surprised to find him performing hard penance at the tender age, and for whom wisdom, sun, and shade were the same. This state at a tender age amazed all the villagers who came from far and wide to have darshan of the boy. He kept no company during the day, and in the night he was never scared. From where did this young child appear? Everyone wondered. He was very handsome, and at the very first sight of him, people felt attracted towards him. He did not reside in anybody's house or go to anybody's doorstep. Day and night he was found under the neem tree. Everyone was thoroughly amazed to see the boy outwardly look like a child, but his deeds were greater than the greatest, and he was an incarnation of non attachment. One day, a strange thing happened. Lord Khandoba possessed the bodies of a few persons who started roving around, and people started asking questions. Who are the fortunate parents of this little boy? And how and where has he come? Lord Khandoba, at least you find out. This was the same question from all. The deity replied, go and bring a pickaxe and dig in the place which I show you. You will come to know the whereabouts of the boy. Strike the pickaxe in this place. Then, near the border of the village, under the very neem tree, after digging repeatedly, they found bricks at the spot. When they came to an end of the layer of bricks and moved aside the lower half of grinding stone, which blocked the entrance, saw and they saw an underground cavern in which four samai tall brass lamps were burning. The cavern was paved with a limestone, all around in which were flat wooden seats shaped like the cow's face, and a beautiful rosary. And the deity said, this is where the boy did penance for 12 years. All were surprised and asked the boy probing questions. But the boy was highly mischievous and told them altogether a different story. He said, this is the place of my Guru. This is the holy place, is my inheritance. I request you all to maintain it as it is. So said Baba, and people listened to him. But why does my tongue utter that? Whatever Baba said was not the right thing. I'm astonished at myself as to why I should hold this opinion about Baba. But now I have understood that it must have been said lightly to put the people off the scent. Baba was humorous by nature. The cavern may have been his own abode, but what does it matter if he attributed it to his guru? The importance does not diminish. So be it. As per Baba's orders, the cavern was closed up by replacing the bricks, and he had said that it was his guru's abode. As the Ashwata and Odambar trees are important, so is the neem tree important for Baba. He loved it very much and held it in high esteem. Malsapati and the others, who were the old residents of Shirdi, used to bow down at that place, believing it to be the Samadhi Sthan of Baba's Guru. near the Samadhi. By observing 12 years of silence, Baba had done penance. This became well known. Satya Sahib, one of Baba's devotees, acquired the surrounding land near the Samadhi and the neem tree and constructed a building with verandas on all the four sides. This is the same building and the same Vada, which was original central meeting place of pilgrims, which was always crowded, and there was a lot of hustle and bustle there. When Satya built a platform round the neem tree and an upper floor south north, he indicated this underground cell where the staircase was laid. Under the staircase facing south is a beautiful niche opposite which is the platform where the devotees sitting facing the north. On Thursdays and Fridays after sunset, anyone who smears the ground with cow dung and burns incense, even for a moment, will be blessed by God. Perhaps the listeners in their hearts may suspect this statement to be an exaggeration and question the truth of it. But they are the very words of Baba, and I've heard them coming from the mouth of Baba. This statement is not fabricated by me. Do not have the least doubt about it. Those who have heard it directly and still alive to bear the testimony of it. Later on, Dikshit's Vada was built which housed larger families. In a shorter time thereafter, a stone vada was built there. From the very beginning, Dikshit was known to be a man of spiritual merit and was the very incarnation of devotion. He had gone on a tour of England where the seed of his own devotion was sown. At this stage, the listeners may question how, leaving aside Mathura, Kashi, Dwarka, England, which follows other religions, can be instrumental in showing the ultimate truth. The listeners will naturally doubt. When it is clarified that they will be surprised. I hope all will pardon me if I digress a little. He had already accumulated enough religious merits by pilgrimages to Kasi, Prayag, Badri Kedar, Mathura, Brindavan, and Dwarka. Moreover, due to the good deeds of his father, his rare fortune, and the outcome of all the good deeds of his past life, he had got the privilege of Sai's darshan. The root cause of the darshan was the fate to be lame due to a fall in England where he was there. Although outwardly it looked like an evil conjunction, the outcome was a good omen because it was a fruitful and gave the opportunity to have an association with Sai, which is rare. He happened to meet Chandolkar and heard about the fame of Sai. Chandolkar said that if Sai granted him his grace, the lameness would disappear immediately. But Dikshit did not consider his lameness as a shortcoming. The deficiencies of his mind were what he had asked Sai to remove. What is the transient human frame but a collection of the skin, blood, flesh, and bones, which is but a means for functioning in material world. It does not matter if the leg remains lame. It was on the 2nd of November 1909 that Dikshit met Sai for the first time and had a meritorious and purifying darshan. Later on, in the same year and in the month of December, he went again to Shirdi for another darshan and thought of staying on. His first thought of disposing of some 25 shares of his to build a tin shed which would be useful for the pilgrims. Later on, he decided to build a vada and find the auspicious day for laying the foundation stone in the following year. On the 19th of December, he took Baba's permission and considered that very day to be the auspicious one for laying the foundation stone. Dikshit's brother, who otherwise would not have come even after an invitation, had arrived the very day in the auspicious Murat. Dada Sahib Karpade had already come there alone. He felt awkward to ask Baba's permission to return home. But on the 10th of December, Karpade was allowed to leave Shirdi and Dikshit to lay the foundation. Both these permissions were given on that day. Another important event took place on this day. The bedtime aarti at the Chavadi was started on this day with great love and faith. Later on, in 1911, the auspicious day of Ram Navami, the house occupying ceremony was accomplished according to the usual rites. Later, the rich booty's imposing building was also built on which lot of money was spent, but this money was proved to have been well utilized for Baba, who was laid to rest there. Now, there are three Vadas where there was none before, but initially it was Satya's Vada, which was very useful for everybody. This Vada also had another significance, for on this spot of land, Baba had raised a garden of flowers with his own hand. The story of the garden will be briefly related in the next chapter. Hemad, along with the listeners, rested his head at the feet of Sai. Vaman Tatya supplied him with mixed mud pots, and with which the great Sai watered the garden which blossomed on barren land. Thereafter, Sai disappeared. Later, Chand Patil met him near Aurangabad, and Sai accompanied him to Shirdi along with a marriage party. Later, he met Devi Das, got acquainted with Janaki Das, and Gangagir also came to his attention. The trio thus met in Shirdi. Then followed the wrestling bout with Moideen, after which he moved into the masjid. Then he developed the attachment for Dengle, and the people started gathering around. These are the stories and anecdotes which will be told in the next chapter. Now Hemad surrenders to Sai and prostrates before him with a singleness of heart. May there be well being. This is the end of the fourth chapter, the appearance of Sai Samartha of Shri Sai Samartha Sai Satcharithra, written by the devotee Hemad Pant, impelled by saints and virtuous people. This is offered to Shri Satguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Now, I will conclude by doing the Pandarpur Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. शिर्डी माझे पंढरपूर, साई बाबा रमावर, बाबा रमावर, साई बाबा रमावर, शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा, भाव पुंडली जागा, पुंडली जागा, भाव पुंडली जागा, याव याव अवकेचन, करा बाबा श्रीवंदन, साई श्रीवंदन, करा बाबा श्रीवंदन, कनुपने बाबा साई, धाव पाव माझे आई, पाव माझे आई, धाव पाव माझे आई. अनेलु तांगण वने गचरण, तोयाति पायन रूप तुझे, विमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिम पवेव इन बने नमा, त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बंधु सदा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या दैरंगमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव. पायेनु माझ्या प्रसन्नियर्म, उद्याकना वापतन स्वभाव, करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै, नारायणाय समर्पयामि. अच्युतं केशवं राम नाम दामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे, ईदवं माधवं गोपिका वल्लभं, जानकी नायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे. हरे राम, राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे. श्री गुरुदेव